Hello and welcome back to Fallon Moran Radio. In today's episode, I am going to be going through 3 examples of what I've learned from clients who felt stuck when it comes to creating their content, creating their messaging, or creating sales from their content on social media, and how we have created a workaround so that they can start making sales and they can start seeing traction online. Let's dive in. All right, so the first example actually comes from someone I worked with before my daughter got diagnosed with leukemia back in 2024. She was a personal trainer and she was going live very regularly on TikTok. And what wound up happening was she was paying a ton of money for a mastermind where they were teaching people how to create a masterclass and then basically kind of like automate it so that they could just drive people to the masterclass. And then at a, certain point in time, they would be able to just kind of like put it on repeat without having to actually run the webinar live anymore. And so, she spent a couple $1,000s and she was growing her TikTok audience and she was doing really well. And her content was driving people even to her live streams, which she was doing pretty regularly at the time. She hadn't yet made the challenge for herself that she was like, oh yeah, I want to do a live stream every day. But she was working her way up to that, level. And so she created her masterclass page and she started telling people on her TikTok lives, hey, go to my masterclass. And she drove them to that link. Now, after a certain, length of time, she had gotten about 6 or 7 signups, and what wound up happening was she went to go run the masterclass, and the masterclass, only one person showed up, and that person didn't even really come off the camera, so she doesn't even know if that person really was even there. So I vividly remember coming into my living room and sitting on the couch and basically like listening to her voice note, and I was like, damn, you have 174 people on your TikTok live stream. I would love to have 174 people on my TikTok live stream. I get like 10 or 12, maybe 16 on a regular basis. And I was like, I would love to have that many people because I would pitch them. Like I would immediately put my offer in front of them if I had their attention. And I knew that I had that many people on my TikTok live stream. So she was like, I never really thought about it like that before, because she had spent all this money to learn about how to do this for running it live on a masterclass. And there's nothing wrong with that. That absolutely is a very valid way of learning how to create a business. However, if you know that you have attention one place, then make it easy for people, right? And so this is the thought of like, oh, something and someone who has done it already before knows more than I do, and so I have to do it their way. So it's almost as if to say that there's a solution external to me. And that's not true. That's not necessarily true. There are tons of different ways that people make money and people go through business and life. And what we get to realize is that the way that one person did it is maybe not going to be the way that we do it, right? And so it's important for us to keep ourselves open to possibility. And so basically when I said that to her on a voice clip, she was like, oh, wow, I never really thought about it like that. And so she actually started pitching her offer on her TikTok live streams. She did get one high ticket purchase on a TikTok live stream, which is like a lot of the time unheard of for TikTok because TikTok is known for being like a freebie or a low ticket platform. Like people really want to get as much as they can get for as less as they can pay for. And so when she had a high ticket sign up, she was like, oh, wow, this is really huge, because it is. And then she decided, okay, well, I had one person sign up for a high ticket, so I'm going to launch a challenge. I'm going to see how that goes. And it was a low ticket challenge. I think maybe it was like $27, maybe $47. And she had 27 people sign up. She had 27 signups. And that is incredible because she was going live. She decided to go live every day and she made a challenge for herself. And over the course of 2 weeks prior to her launch, she got, almost 2 signups a day, like just shy of 2 signups a day because she had 27 signups over the course of 14 days. So that really is quite a statement in terms of understanding that you have the answer within yourself. Just because you pay somebody thousands of dollars doesn't mean that, you have to do it their way all the time. Sometimes it really is a matter of just looking at what you have available to you and acting on those resources. So that's just one scenario. Another scenario comes from a TikTok audit that I did more recently in 2025. And so this one comes from someone who had said to me that she feels like she's posting just to post and she's really spinning her wheels because she doesn't feel like she's posting with purpose anymore. And this is huge because for a lot of creators, you go online to make a difference and you go online to reach more people and to make a change in their lives and in their business, whatever the case may be. And what we're not considering is that if we're doing some of the things that gurus or people who we pay thousands of dollars for, if we're losing our magic and we're losing our purpose, then it's creating a drain within us, an energetic drain, versus filling up our energetic cup. And so when I went through her TikTok profile, I actually started to see a really huge difference between what was going on in her bio, so what she was intentionally writing out, and then what was going on within her content when she was turning on the record button. And so I want to just apply this for a second and just say this out loud to you. There is a very distinct difference when it comes to intentionally writing your bio and then intentionally creating your content. And when you're intentional about everything, then it kind of has the same follow through string. You have the same, everything boils down to the same thing. And when I was going through her bio and then I went through her content, it was very clear to me that A, she had no content strategy because there was no overarching goal for her. B, she knew that she wanted one thing, but she didn't know how she wanted to get it. And C, even though she knew she wanted this one thing and she didn't know how she wanted to get it, she also wasn't willing to talk about it. And so what that tells me is that there's a mismatch of energy and a mismatched identity. There's some kind of difference in the thoughts that she is thinking intentionally, and then the thoughts and the happenings that are going on when she goes to create. And so more or less she had in her bio that she was offering coaching, and then, she said, go to check out the link for freebies or whatever. And it was a resource that you can get if you gave her your email address, which is a very typical lead magnet. You give your email in exchange for a PDF or a checklist or whatever the case may be. And so she had in her bio that you could sign up for coaching and you could grab this freebie in her bio. And not once in her content was there ever a call to action, go download the freebie in my bio. There was not once ever in her content a call to action, oh, this is what I coach my clients through. There was not once ever a mention of a specific scenario or a specific instance where she may have been coaching someone. Now, when I went through her content and I went again through her bio and I did this audit for her, I was like, I hope you realize that the reason why you're not making sales is because you're not telling anyone to go buy anything in terms of your coaching. And of course, you go through her content and she's a TikTok Shop affiliate. That's great. You can make sales that way. If you're not making sales with TikTok Shop, then it's probably more or less due to the storytelling or the emotions that you're bringing up within someone in your video. And if you're not making the money that you're looking to make from TikTok Shop and you're looking to go into coaching to even expand the amount of income you're able to generate, you also have to be able to show social proof. It's not just TikTok Shop all the time, because coaching requires you to be able to show your ability to coach someone. And if you're not willing to show your ability to coach someone, how is anybody going to sign up? So you're spinning your wheels because your content, like you're posting your content unintentionally. And so it comes down to being very intentional and strategic with yourself. And that comes down to identity matching, making sure that what you're thinking is matching what it is that you're looking to accomplish and bring into the world. When you know within yourself that you can do it and this is what you can offer someone, you'll then be able to take the actions to do so. So a lot of that comes down to, doubt, comparison, judgment, fear, anxiety, all very big things that dysregulate the nervous system. And when you have that nervous system dysregulation, what that does is it creates a protection mechanism, which in this case is thinking one thing, doing another. Now, the last instance that I want to talk about actually isn't a specific instance per se. It's more just because of the amount of TikTok audits that I have done and what I have seen as a common thread within all of these audits. And it has a lot to do with minimal specificity in content and also minimal emotion when we are putting content out into the world. And every creator, every TikTok coach, every growth coach, social media strategist, whatever, and their mother is talking about specificity. Specificity is important. Specificity is great. Specificity makes somebody feel called out. And when we're talking about the creator who is making that piece of specific content, what it comes down to is the nervous system response. If someone does not feel safe to be specific, if somebody does not feel safe to be clear in their content, it's going to be very difficult for them to do so because what's happening is they're trying to create through nervous system dysregulation. And so what does that mean? If you're not clear and if you're not specific in your content, and even in terms of the emotion piece, right? If you're not igniting emotion in your content, if you're not doing any of those three things, it is more than likely because your nervous system is trying to protect you. Your subconscious is seeking safety because that's its number one prime directive. And so it is difficult for you to implement clarity. It is difficult for you to implement specificity in your content. And it's difficult for you to call out emotion because if you were to do any of those three things, then what you're going to do is you're going to experience something different than what you already have. So you are constantly attuned to stuckness because your nervous system is afraid of what is going to happen if you were to not be stuck. So it's basically, this is the fear of success. And so this comes down to two things: implementation and follow through. And I'm not just talking about implementation and follow through in terms of just your content, right? I am also talking about implementation and follow through in terms of your subconscious mind, your subconscious beliefs, and what you're doing for yourself, for your subconscious, for your nervous system on a very regular basis. Because more than likely, there will be a time period that you have to go a little harder than what you would expect. And so your nervous system is protecting you because it knows what it's going to cost. And so your nervous system knows it's going to be time consuming. Your nervous system knows that you're not going to get as much sleep. Your brain knows that you're going to feel stuck in the moment. And you also know on a conscious level that if you lay the foundation, if you move through the hard season, you will eventually reach the easy season and you can coast and you can let it all kind of compound on itself. The specificity piece, the emotional piece, the implementation piece, this is important because whether you realize it or not, your nervous system is trying to protect you. And so that's why it's difficult for specificity to come through or clarity to come through or implementation to happen or for you to even call out the emotion in your content or ignite emotion in other people from your content. Because on some level, your subconscious is afraid of success. It's hard. I know. It's like, wow, You would have never anticipated to hear that. And that's what it is. So I want to encourage you, after listening to this episode, to really sit with this and to sit with, okay, if I'm not being specific, what's going on within me as to why I'm not using a specific scenario? Because specific scenarios are easy. Like all of these scenarios that I used in this podcast episode are from my real life. Like these are actually things that I have done. And so it's really easy to be specific. And that's not the difficult thing for me. My thing is the emotional piece, right? And so I get to work on that and I am learning about it and I'm like, okay, I can do this. And that's constantly what it is. It's constant reinforcement of I can do this. I can invoke emotion. I can evoke emotion. I can evoke emotion. I can evoke emotion. And I tell it to myself over and over and over and over and over again. And I know in time, it's going to happen on a completely unconscious level. We're going to go over the 4 levels of competence in another episode. Different episode, different day. Be sure to stay tuned. That being said, all of this comes down to your nervous system, and it's very important for you to support your nervous system. I want to thank you for tuning in. If you're interested in an expression audit, you can go check out the show notes down below. Thank you for tuning in. If you have not yet already, be sure to leave a review for the podcast. It helps the podcast grow, and I will talk to you very soon.